All right, guys. So I got to tell you, one of the hard lessons in life that I've learned that has made me a better person, that has made me a better man, is that when you take an L, 99% of the time, it is better to just take that L gracefully and don't make excuses for why you took an L. Okay? Don't make excuses. Because ultimately, at the end of the day, you cannot get better as a person. You cannot grow if you do not have the ability to self-reflect and acknowledge your mistakes. Okay? And part of the problem with a lot of people in our society is that when they lose or when things don't go their way, they want to blame everybody else except themselves. They don't want to take personal responsibility. They don't want any accountability for their role in the outcome of whatever situation they were involved in. Now, this interview right here, which is going to feature Amber Heard's lawyer, Elaine Bredehoft, whom, represented her during this trial, a trial in which she lost to Johnny Depp, is going to go on TV and make every excuse in the book for why she lost this case, except blaming herself and the fact that they really didn't have, convincing evidence to suggest that she actually was a victim of domestic abuse. Okay, and I want to react to this video because this is a prime example of how there's some people in our society that simply don't want to take accountability for any of their actions whatsoever. And the most hilarious part about this video is that a real man is going to actually set this lawyer straight or call this lawyer out on the fact that she's not taking any responsibility or accountability. And it is a glorious moment. So let's go ahead and get into it.
A Virginia jury's decision to side with Johnny Depp in his defamation lawsuit is drawing both condemnation and praise. The verdict came after 6 weeks of very dramatic testimony from both sides. She claimed that he abused her, while he said she was the abuser. In his reaction, Depp wrote, "The goal of bringing the case was to reveal the truth, and that truth never perishes." Elaine Charlson Bredehoft is the attorney for Amber Heard and is with us now. And we should mention, we did also reach out to Johnny Depp's team, but they declined to be interviewed this morning. Elaine, thank you. We're so very glad you're here.
Thank you.
We heard Amber's reaction to the verdict yesterday. This seems to be a huge victory for Johnny Depp this morning.
Yeah, a major setback for women.
Again, her first reaction, the first words out of her mouth in reaction to her loss, her L, is that, well, this is a major setback for women, okay, which is basically the victim card, okay, that they're pulling after the verdict in this trial, right? Now, with that being said, I have went back and forth with myself about the whole, is this a setback for women question, okay? And here's why I think, because a lot of people didn't talk about this. I think that it is ridiculous to claim that what happened to Amber Heard is a setback for women, because I don't think that most women are crazy as hell like Amber Heard. Okay, now there are a lot of women that are crazy, but I think Amber Heard is a different type of crazy. When you take a dump in somebody's bed, yeah, you're a whole different level of crazy. Okay, I don't think most women are that crazy, and that most women are out here falsely accusing men of domestic violence and abuse. So it is a setback for some women, okay, in the sense that, well, people like her that are super crazy, okay, and that falsely accuse men of domestic violence and abuse in order to try to ruin their careers, yeah, it's a setback for you guys, right? It is a setback for you guys, okay? And it's also a setback for the Me Too movement. It's a setback for toxic femininity, okay, which, again, all this is kind of related to that. Yeah, it's a setback for them. Now, in regards to it being a setback for women who are real victims of domestic abuse and violence, I have to go back and forth with myself on that because, there's a couple arguments to be made here. The first argument is that, well, it is a setback for those women who actually experience real domestic violence and abuse, because false accusations like hers make it so that other people's claims are not necessarily credible. Right? It makes it so people are less likely to believe real victims because, well, you got people like her, tainting the reputation of women that come out and speak out against domestic violence and abuse, right? That's one part of the argument. The other part of the argument is that, well, people like Amber Heard getting exposed is good for the real victims of domestic violence and abuse, because maybe it disincentivizes people with false allegations from speaking out because they'll get ridiculed and humiliated and embarrassed. Okay, so I understand both sides of the argument for that question. But in regards to, is it a setback for women overall? No, absolutely not. Okay, absolutely not. And I think it's offensive to just assume that most women can relate to Amber Heard's situation, because I don't think that most women are like Amber Heard. I think Amber Heard is a special breed of crazy, toxic, feminist woman, right? She's out there, okay? She's super crazy. Now, I do know one thing. It is a W for men who are victims of domestic abuse and men who come out and say, hey, I've been abused because, Amber Heard, right, told Johnny Depp that nobody will believe him because he's a man. Again, which is a part of our culture in which, women are to be believed no matter what, and men are not to be believed, right? So again, I think this trial definitely has a whole lot of cultural implications, and that is one of them.
Mm-hmm. For women inside the courtroom and outside the courtroom.
Because
basically what this said, Amber had an enormous amount of evidence, although a lot of it was suppressed in this case as opposed to the UK. But look at all the women who have no evidence. Mm-hmm. All these women who suffer from domestic violence, domestic abuse, they don't have evidence. And basically what this jury said is, unless you pull out your cell phone and you tape record your spouse beating you, you're out of luck.
But Elaine,
well, the whole criminal justice system, the justice system in general, is built off the idea of having evidence to back up your claims, right? If you are a victim of domestic abuse and you come forward with allegations and you don't have evidence, how can a jury or a criminal justice system find you guilty when there's no evidence to support your claim? If what she wants actually is how the criminal justice system works, then any woman that came forward with any claims of abuse could just sue a man and get him thrown in jail, ruin his reputation, take money from him, right? Make him go broke just simply by making a claim, right? She's a lawyer on national TV basically arguing that women should not need to have evidence in order to come forward with domestic abuse allegations, right? In Amber Heard's case, she did not have sufficient evidence. She had some photographs, but they weren't definitive evidence that she was actually abused or beaten, right? I mean, there's evidence to suggest that those photographs might have been photoshopped, okay? They might have been touched up, okay? So at the end of the day, look, you just did a bad job at proving your case, right, with the evidence that you had.
I think it was bigger than that, because you had the evidence, as you say, but they did not believe her. Why do you think they did not believe her?
I think that a lot of that was that it was Johnny Depp. I think the celebrity status.
But she's a celebrity too.
And
Blaming the man. Again, just listen to all the excuses here. No accountability.
it's not only not
but she's
believing her.
but she's a celebrity too.
Right.
But you have to remember, it's a tale of two trials. All the evidence came in the UK. Mr. Depp brought that one. The burden of proof was on the son in the UK because they had called him a wife beater and talked about the domestic violence. He had his opportunity to tell the truth then.
Look, I don't know why she keeps bringing up the UK trial, because that's a totally different court system, okay? That's a totally different case. She was not the defendant in that case, okay? The son was the defendant. That was a media outlet. Those are two different things. I don't know why she keeps bringing this up.
And a 3-week trial, he lost. The judge found 12 acts of domestic violence, including sexual violence. And that came out November 2, 2020. We weren't allowed to tell the jury that.
Well, it's a different system, and the judge, it wasn't a jury, it was a judge. The judge said it was substantially true, and that is significant, and I think surprised a lot of legal analysts. But, in this case, the jury not only didn't believe Amber Heard, but in ruling that she acted with actual malice, that means she had the intent to cause harm, right? That's a pretty high standard to have proven.
Exactly, right? Not only are they saying we don't believe your allegations, we don't believe any of your allegations, because all they had to do is just believe one. If they just would have believed one allegation of domestic abuse, then she would have been not guilty, right? She would have won. But not only did they not believe her, they said, You went out here and you lied with the intent to ruin this man's reputation. Okay, that's a very, very, very high standard. And again, the jury here is just clearly was not convinced by this lawyer's argument.
And it's pretty amazing since the op-ed never even mentioned Mr. Depp. You have to remember that.
Okay, yeah, but Amber Heard in court admitted that she wrote the op-ed about Johnny Depp.
I know how many people will come out and say whatever for him. That's his power. That's why I wrote the op-ed. I was speaking to that phenomenon. How many people will come out in support of him and will fall to his power? He is a very powerful man, and people love currying favor with powerful men.
Again, just listen to this interview. I would never hire this lawyer ever again. I don't know why you come on TV and make excuses like this. Right? I get it. As a lawyer, you don't want to admit that you were wrong. But if you're not going to admit that you were wrong, then just don't go on TV at all. What you don't do what this lawyer is doing, okay? She's not really helping herself.
Learned from the UK case is to demonize Amber, which is what they did, and to try to suppress as much of the evidence that came in the UK and did not come in the United States. But the other problem is we had cameras in the courtroom. So here we had, not only did we have a group of Depp fans that were there every day, 100 were allowed in. They lined up at 1 o'clock in the morning for their wristbands to be in that courtroom.
Now it's the fans' fault, right? Now it's the fan fault. Okay, it's his fault because he's a celebrity. It's the fans' fault. It's the jury. Okay. She's just blaming everybody except herself and her client, who, apparently didn't do herself much justice in regards to being able to convince the jury that what she was saying is true.
But we had everything on camera, and we had tremendous social media that was very, very, very much against Amber.
It was pointed out that was the first time that a victim of sexual abuse had to testify on live television.
And I fought hard and lost that battle. It should not have happened.
So I am a former NFL player. And after a hard loss, it's easy to wake up and point to the other side. Oftentimes, I realized the better thing to do was to look in the mirror. What mistakes did I make as a player? What mistakes did our coaching staff make? And then how can we improve from there? Do you feel like you guys made any mistakes along the way? Do you feel like Amber made a mistake while she was on the stand? Because you're saying it's the celebrity, it's Johnny, it's the people who support him. But what about you and your team?
Look at her face, bro. I'm about to screenshot this. I gotta screenshot this right now. This is gonna be in the thumbnail. Okay, this is the thumbnail. Okay, this real man, this alpha male, okay, because this is what alpha males do here. He's saying, what responsibility do you take? Because you're blaming everybody else, but ultimately, you were the lawyer that was making the argument for her. Do you think that you did something wrong? Did you make weak arguments? Did you not do enough to prove your case, right? And this is how people who are actually in a mindset of taking accountability and personal responsibility, this is how they think, right? They don't think like victims, right? That is the difference between a victimhood mentality and a mentality of personal responsibility, right? This guy was saying, during my NFL career, when we lost, when something went wrong, we didn't blame the refs, right? We didn't blame all these external factors, okay, that may have not even been favorable to us. We blamed ourselves. Because only we can control what we can control, right? That's it. That's it. There's only certain things in life you can control. And when it comes to your outcome in life, 99% of it, in my opinion, is based off what you do and the decisions that you make, right? And that is the point that I really want to drive home for this video, right? Is that personal responsibility matters. I would never hire this lawyer, okay, based off this interview, because she doesn't want to take personal responsibility for her failures. Okay, and I love the fact that this man said everything that everybody else is probably thinking, okay, while watching this interview and saying, okay, well, when are you going to take responsibility? When are you going to say what you did wrong? Okay, because she's not taking any responsibility. She's acting like she made the best case ever and that everybody was just against her, right? When that's just simply not the case. It's not the case.
Well, and that's an excellent question. And to say, and Amber even said on the stand, I am not perfect. I am a human being.
Now she's blaming her client. Now she's blaming her client, right? So everybody takes responsibility for it except her. Which, it's funny. Again, contrast what this woman is saying to what John Durham said after his trial, okay, with Michael Sussman, the Clinton lawyer. John Durham, even though we all knew that trial was a hoax, okay, we all knew the jury was filled with Clinton supporters. Some of the people on the jury even donated to the Clinton campaign. We all knew that trial was a hoax, okay? However, Durham did not come out after the trial and blame the jury, blame the criminal justice system, say, oh, everything was stacked against me. He said, you know what? We're disappointed that we lost, but we respect the decision of the jury. That's it. That's how you're supposed to handle it, right? Even though it's clear that this guy was behind the 8 ball when it came to winning that case. But he did not make excuses. Even though there was excuses he made, he never made those excuses. That is what differentiates a man, okay? Or put it this way, somebody that takes personal responsibility and accountability versus somebody like her who has a victim mentality.
These people were giving her death threats. They threatened to microwave her baby. This is the kind of social media she was getting. So are any of us perfect? No. Is there something else we feel we should have done? Yes, I absolutely. I redo my closings 100 times afterwards, whether I win or lose. That's part of being a good lawyer, a good trial lawyer, is right. There's always something. But I think that there were a lot of influences here that were beyond our control. And I think the social media, it was like a Roman Colosseum. Is the best way to describe the atmosphere here. And I have to believe that the jury, even though they're told not to go and look at anything, they have weekends, they have families, they have social media.
They were not sequestered. They were not sequestered.
And the 10-day period we had, how could they not have been influenced?
But Elaine, for most people watching this trial, and a lot of people, as you know, got huge views, it just seemed to be so messy and salacious and so tawdry on both sides. And I think for a lot of people from the outside looking in thought both of them were not telling the truth and that they mutually abused each other. Do you not believe that was the case?
No, and that's one of the many misnomers. The way that Depp's team approached this was based on ignorance of domestic violence. It completely ignored the cycle of violence and just said, oh, she wouldn't have done this if he had been hitting her. That was their approach.
So you thought that they weren't fighting fair?
Correct. I don't think they were fighting fair.
And you think Amber Heard is, in fact, a survivor of domestic violence?
Yes, I absolutely believe that. And there's a tremendous amount of evidence, much of which did not come into this trial, did come into the UK trial. We even had more evidence. We had medical records. We had mental health records that went back to 2012 that were contemporaneous.
This lawyer better be careful, or she's going to get hit with a defamation lawsuit, right? If she keep talking like this.
We had text messages from Mr. Depp's assistant saying, when I told him that he had kicked you, he cried.
So how is she today, Elaine? How is she today? What is her next move?
She's right. Well, her next move is appeal. There were
she's heartbroken.
She's not going to appeal, bro. She's not going to appeal because she's broke. And this lawyer costs like $6 million. I mean, Amber Heard is what, $8 million and something in the hole in net worth. Yeah, she's not appealing. Amber Heard's next move is OnlyFans. All right, that is her next move. She gonna get her OnlyFans popping like Bad Baby. All right, that's what she's gonna do. Okay, and there's gonna be a whole lot of simps out there that will definitely sign up for it and help her get her life back on track, at least from a financial perspective. So, with that being said, guys, yeah. That is a prime example of what you don't do when you take an L, when you lose, when you make mistakes. You don't go and make excuses for why you made those mistakes. You own up to your mistakes, you take accountability, and you learn from it, and you get better, right? That is how you grow and improve in life. And again, that interview right there was just a prime example of what not to do. So let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.